Hello, you wonderful people. You know, in a sick, twisted way, history is kind of funny because it's always interesting how history is told to you, like, you know, as you in school, like, and as you get older, because it's like when you're a kid, I mean, especially here in the US, I feel like as a kid, you grow up learning that Christopher Columbus discovered this land, and you're like, oh yeah, that's why we have like Columbus Day. It's like, yay, celebrating the fact is that he discovered our land. He was such an awesome person. But then when you get older, you find out the truth that actually he was an asshole that got lost. He was sent out to like find an alternate trade route to India, but the idiot ended up getting lost and ended up hitting what is now North America. But not only that, the jerk also had the audacity to claim the land, you know, even though there were already Native Americans living there. It also led to them being oppressed, even called Indians, even though they weren't in India, but whatever. It's always said that history is written by the winners, so it makes you wonder, how was that even like discovered, you know? How did that end up in the history books at all? Was there someone that was like part of his like explorer team that basically whoever this person was who was like documenting everything was supposed to be like the lead explorer, but he got shafted by like Columbus, and Columbus was like, oh, I'll pity you and let you come along on my voyage, and he was like, yeah, thanks a lot, asshole. And so he recorded everything. So could it have been like a situation where it was like Columbus was like, okay, we're doing some pretty shady shit here, so let's omit this from like the records and stuff, and the guy was like, okay? Or was it someone who was just like, oh yeah, sure, I'll admit it. Yeah, right, you piece of shit. This is what you get for stealing my position. Something I'd like to experience one day, not too like in depth, but I think it'd be really interesting to hear a little bit here and there of the differences in history, like when you compare like the US's history to like some other country's history. Like for instance, like how does like Europe view the Revolutionary War? The US views it as like, oh yeah, like, you know, this was way back in the day when our country, you know, took its independence back from like the king who was taxing us like heavily and all this stuff. And it's like, how does Europe view it? Europe might view it as like, yeah, some like assholes went off, started their own country, you know, backstabbed us. Even though we gave them the money and the manpower they used to start the country, it's like they actually owe us. It's like, but they had the audacity to turn around and stab us in the back like this? Fuck them. Or does like Europe not even really talk about it at all? It's like, yeah, and some assholes went off and started another country. Moving on. I mean, the same thing can be said for Germany. Not trying to bash Germany in any shape or form. Every country has like their dark period. Even the US. The US has had some pretty fucked up shit happen in the past. But for instance, like something like World War II, like how does Germany like view that? Do they even talk about it at all? Or do they try to gloss over it? Like, yeah, and you know, a certain dude named Hitler happened, and let's not talk about that. Or do they go really in depth because they're like, yeah, this asshole Hitler was a thing, and we must never, ever, ever let that happen again. I kind of feel bad for Germany because no matter what Germany does, they will always be associated with Hitler. Not in the sense like, it's just like, it's like, oh, we did all this wonderful stuff in our past, and Hitler was a thing. I was like, but we also did this, and Hitler. It's like, well, our country grew into this and we're the way we are now. Yay! Yeah, but part of that history includes Hitler. It's like, I feel like it's always going to be an afterthought, which is kind of a shame. I mean, you know, people living in Germany now, like, it's not like, you know, especially younger people, it's not like it's their fault what happened, but, you know, still people kind of have to pay. You know, you have to pay for the sins of your fathers, you know, so it sucks. The same thing can be said here in the US. It's kind of like, you can't blame every white person for slavery and racism being a thing, because not every white person is racist. I mean, not every group is racist against one specific group. It's just select people within the group. It's like, you can't blame every white person for slavery happening. I mean, it wasn't their fault. They weren't even alive at that time. It's like their ancestors' fault, so you can't blame them even if they were related to someone who did this and that. Like I said, it's kind of, history's kind of funny in a way like that, in a very dark, humorous, fucked up way, But I feel like there are points in history you're like, yeah, it's kind of interesting how like this has this certain perspective, but then this other side has this way completely different perspective, you know. My question is more specifically for anyone that's watched this video who doesn't live in the US, you know, any other country, because I'm really curious about your history. Like, do you have your own Christopher Columbus? What I mean is, my question is more specifically aimed for those who live outside of the US. I'm very curious, does your country have their own Christopher Columbus, where it's like when you're a kid you hear this certain thing about them, like for us, like I said, like when you're younger, Christopher Columbus is a guy who like discovered what eventually became North America. He's an awesome guy. But then when you get older and like you're in high school, it's like they finally tell you the truth. It's like, yeah, he was an asshole, he got lost. Do tell me, because I am very interested to see, like, you know, like, do other countries do that, or is that just the US that does that, where it takes like this person that's like, oh yeah, he's awesome, actually no, he's an asshole. Do tell me in the comments. I am very, very interested. Like always, till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.